All right, everybody, welcome back to Casual Sports Fans. It's been about a week. We're on time with this one. We're going to be doing our weekly sports review. We've got the Suns-Clippers series, the Bucks-Hawks series. Some stuff is going on in the MLB. We'll talk a little bit of buyers or sellers with the trade deadline approaching. Also, what is going on with the Yankees, man? Fire Aaron Boone. But as always, I'm Ben Gutowski, accompanied here by Evan Berger and Andrew Bartle. And without further ado, let's roll the intro. Alrighty, so we're back with our weekly sports and review. Obviously, we're going to start talking about Bucks-Hawks because, I don't know, I think it's been an okay series. I mean, the first game was really, really good. The second two games, it's been a little, game 3 was pretty good, and then Trae Young got hurt, whatever, that whole thing happened. Chris Middleton went nuts in the fourth quarter. The Bucks went on the big run at the end of the third. So that game, it honestly did feel a little closer than the scoreboard. But how are you guys feeling about the series right now? Do we think the Hawks have any life left in them? Do we think the Hawks can potentially win? Do we think the Bucks have this thing wrapped up in 5? How are we feeling about the series, generally speaking, right now?
I think with Trae Young questionable and clearly not being himself after that injury, I think it's really tough to see the Hawks winning, even if Trae Young does play. Because without Trae Young in this series, they're just outmatched by the big three of the Bucks, especially the way Chris Middleton was scoring in that fourth quarter and the way that Giannis has played throughout the playoffs. So unless we get a fully healthy Trae Young throughout the rest of the series, which is unlikely, even if he does play, I think it'll be more interesting, but I see it being Bucks in 5 or 6. I mean, I hope it goes 7 because who doesn't love a 7-game series, but that's what I'm seeing right now.
I mean, the Hawks can make it a pretty competitive series, but in order for the Hawks to win, I think you guys can agree, Trae Young would have to put up, arguably the greatest playoff series performance in the history of basketball for him to overcome the Bucks at this point, because he really would have to be doing it by himself. And yeah, I guess the storyline for Game 3 was that the Hawks could have easily have taken it if Trae Young was healthy in the fourth, but it just goes to...
They were winning before the injury, though.
They stood there. Trae Young just stood there. But either way, the Bucks have the advantage in this series, and it's probably going to go to the Bucks anyway, which is what we kind of thought all along. But, I mean, it is interesting.
I think this game tonight is going to be a pretty huge game, for deciding the series, because obviously 3-1 going back to Milwaukee is more of a death sentence than a series, really. It quite literally took the best game of Trae Young's career to win a playoff game in Milwaukee. It took a great game from Trae Young on top of the worst game from the Bucks' big three that we have seen this postseason to win that game in Milwaukee. And on top of that, obviously, I'm not saying, because this is kind of how Trae Young plays. I'm starting to understand more and more the more I watch the series. Why Knicks fans were so verbal about Trae Young. Because, some of the foul calls he gets are absolutely just ridiculous. I did hear about that. But
from these two playoff series, it doesn't seem like it, because we'll talk about more in the next series, but the Paul George left to right foul thing where he just puts his arms up, that's some BS.
The flagrant foul that CP3 got on Pat Bev, that was garbage as well.
I
game yesterday, that was bad. But just looking at let's go back to game 1. Pat Connaughton puts Trae Young in row G, and they call a foul on Chris Middleton for barely,
biased Bucks fan, but yeah, the foul calls are ridiculous.
It really is unreal. And I think Trae Young shot I think he shot 10 free throws in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
He shot 6 free throws this whole. I mean, I think you're exaggerating the impact of these free throws. I think the Bucks probably outshot.
I'm not talking about game 3. I'm talking about game 1.
Game 1.
He was at the line in the fourth quarter. It felt like every possession down in the stretch of that game, and he played great. He really did play well, and he was like, "Oh, I'm getting these foul calls. I'm gonna keep going back to it." So props to him for getting to the line, giving his team a great chance to win. But it took the Hawks playing as well as they could play with the Bucks' big three struggling for them to win in Milwaukee, which makes me more comfortable, I think, to be totally honest with you. I do think the Bucks will win tonight, and then I think they'll wrap it up in game 5 in Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee is just such a tough place to win. They have the Deer District outside. They're always showing the videos. It's so awesome. And these playoffs, I get it because I'm a fan of the team that's like doing really well. But I'm really happy with how these playoffs are going for the Bucks right now.
Yeah, I mean, you used to go in our earlier weekly reviews. He used to go on a rant that would last about a minute about how bad the NBA is. But the second his team starts doing well and has a legitimate shot to win the title this year, I love the NBA. I love how it's going.
No. I stand by what I said. If Kevin Durant and Kyrie were, or not Kevin Durant, if Kyrie and James Harden were like 100% healthy, like I would be hating the NBA. Like I was hating the NBA literally I was hating the NBA until Kyrie got hurt, pretty much. And I was like, oh, look at this. Other teams have a chance, which I thought was pretty cool. But I mean, I'm not too worried. Giannis continues to answer the call over and over again. Middleton is like really coming up huge in the playoffs, where he's struggled in the past. First couple of years he's played in the playoffs, he did not play well. But he's really coming up and being that closer for the Bucks. And Drew Holiday, he's been up and down this series. He played great in Game 3. He played okay in Game 2. He didn't play so well in Game 1. But I really do like our chances to win this series right now. I'm very comfortable with.
And on a last note about this Hawks team, Bogdan Bogdanovic, he sucks. I mean, he's pretty much doing cardio out there. He's
So
literally
happy that
scoring
trade
like
fell through.
anywhere from like 4 to 8 points per game on like anywhere from 6 to 10 shots. Like, if you have Bogdanovic on the court and he's not hitting shots and his defense has been mediocre at best, I mean, he's one of those guys in this type of series that needs to step up, because you're not always going to get like a 20-30 out of Kevin Huerter. You're not going to always get a 20 or 30-point game out of John Collins. So he's one of those guys who is expected to show up, and he's just sucked, and I don't think he's going to step it up, which is another reason I think the Bucks are going to take this series.
Very happy that trade fell through between Milwaukee and the Kings. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap this up. We're all pretty comfortable with the Bucks winning this series, I think. So now
The West.
let's move out west, and I'll start with this. I have a very strong opinion about this. I mean, like, come on, man. Like, this is exactly what I was talking about last episode. If Kawhi was in this series, and I said if Kawhi was in this series, they would win.
Because you wouldn't pick a team.
I said if he wasn't in this series, the Suns would win. And all indicated.
You did not
No,
say that.
you did not say that.
You never said that.
You didn't. You guys can watch the video.
I never
before.
said-
Ben did not-
Talked
Ben
around.
never said
To be
that.
fair, he talked around it and kind of implied it.
I
but he
never said the
directly said it.
Clippers were going to win this series without Kawhi Leonard.
You
never
didn't say that, but
once.
you didn't pick the Suns. You never said the
You
Clippers
never
would.
picked
You
the team.
clearly did not pick
I
the Suns
said
at all.
as my pick,
Clearly.
if Kawhi is healthy, the Clippers will win.
You
did not say anything else, though.
Okay, but like, what does that imply?
That
No,
implies that
you
never
said if
made
Kawhi
it.
was healthy
Kawhi
at any
isn't-
point, they would for sure. You didn't say anything about the Suns winning the series. I mean, I'm not here to argue what you were thinking about.
I said
but
if Kawhi is healthy, the Clippers will win. What does that imply if Kawhi is not healthy?
well, that means there's
All
a
right.
chance.
Again,
There
you,
we
go.
you implied
Okay,
things, but you
there
never
we-
directly
there-
said
okay,
that.
there-
You never
well,
directly said
And
that.
I
what I mean,
still
if you
stand by
wanted
what I
answers.
said. If Kawhi comes back, I still think the Clippers will win this series. The Clippers were the best playoff game of Devin Booker's young career, and I mean he is a superstar. He's been playing well. A miracle of an alley-oop, absolute miracle. And I'm like, obviously Cousins is an idiot for missing the free throws, but like I think the Suns win that game anyway. But they're a miracle alley-oop away from being up 3-2 without Kawhi. And
Hey, man, that's
like,
basketball.
if Kawhi doesn't come back, I think the Suns will win. I think they will win. And I mean the Suns have played
Thank
great,
you
and I
for
think
finally
and I
explicitly
think
saying
they deserve to win if Kawhi doesn't come back. But like the more I watch this series, like the more I'm not gonna say anything, because every time I say something about Wisconsin team winning, it doesn't go well.
That's true.
But the more hopeful I am about the Bucks' chances just by watching this series, and like I would rather play the Suns than the Clippers if Kawhi can come back, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, because... Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. If you have Kawhi in the finals, of course you're not going to play him, especially with how Paul George is playing right now and how balanced the Clippers roster is. Of course, the Suns are pretty inexperienced except for Chris Paul, and Chris Paul doesn't have any finals experience, clearly, because everyone seems to be rooting for him to get his first ring. Of course, a better matchup for the Bucks is going to be the Suns, because you don't want to let Kawhi get healthy and make it to the finals.
Kawhi's a killer.
Well, it's not just that.
I mean, if the Bucks lose to the Suns, I think they would have also lost to the Clippers if Kawhi's healthy in the finals.
I think Ben always has a thing for doubting the Suns. I think he'll keep doing it. Yes, he said the Suns win without Kawhi, but I do think Ben's whole thing with, a miracle alley-oop, I love how Ben uses a player having a good game as a reason the team should have lost. That is not a reason
was
the team
the alley-oop or was the... okay,
does Reggie Jackson put up 25 per game in the regular season? Reggie Jackson's every single game for him is a miracle game. Trey Mann have miracle games. Miracle games don't mean anything.
Has Reggie Jackson done it consistently in the playoffs?
Yes, but that's in this playoffs.
That's all I need to say.
Booker's
how many games have the Suns won via the alley-oop after Paul George misses 2 huge free throws?
I feel like that's just basketball and plays coming down the wire, games going down to the wire.
You do say stuff is
that's just basketball.
A lot.
That's just basketball.
What, Trae Young being hurt?
That's what you're saying.
Trae Young being hurt, and that's the reason the Bucks won Game 3 instead of the Suns?
And also, there's so many plays that go down in the game in which certain teams get advantages.
It is.
This last game,
you're right.
I'm not going to say it, but the refs have been giving Clippers lots of calls. I'm not just saying this as...
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Look at it.
Okay.
Like, I'll bring up again, Paul George. I know that with the rules in place, if a player is going... But, the fouls where it goes back and forth, where he just swipes and just gets easy fouls.
Well, we could say the same thing about the Suns. We see with CP3 got a flagrant foul called.
He was taking out his legs. That was a foul, not a flagrant. His legs were flipped over.
CP3 jumped like this.
Then why...
That was very realistic.
You can say whatever it is. His legs were taken out. I mean, it's not a flagrant foul.
I agree. I've doubted the Suns team in the past. I agree. And as much as I've doubted these Suns, I've just equally pushed back on that with unrealistic hope. And I think it's great. This team is good for basketball. I agree. So it's cool to see Phoenix back. And it's I'm not like, oh man, I hate the Suns. I just don't think this team can win a title as currently constructed. I don't think they can win a title, and I don't think CP3 is the guy. And what are we gonna think? What if the Clips win Game 6? What is gonna happen? The Clips are going back to LA for Game 6.
I mean, does that LA? I mean, their LA crowd is fine.
What is going to happen if the Clips win Game 6?
The LA crowd for any sporting event, if you've ever been in LA, is terrible. They show up late. Here's how a basketball game works in LA. They show up during the second quarter because they never show up to anything on time, and then they leave after the third quarter because they need to beat all the other people going for traffic. So people are only there for the second and third quarter, and don't say, oh, well, it's different for playoffs. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays were in the World Series and they couldn't even sell out. Don't say it's different for any type of... I'm
not making the argument, but playing at home, teams play better at home. That's the point. Is it out of the realm of possibility that the Clippers win Game 6?
No.
Yes or no? No, it's not. But I get it. Paul George has been choking over and over again. He played great. Cousins played great in Game 5.
In that example, this is Paul George's best game of this playoffs.
Okay, well,
it's a miracle game.
It's a miracle game.
Okay, it gotta go both ways.
Okay, cool.
I'm not saying.
Okay, let's say this game is a miracle game. Game 1 for the Suns is a miracle game. Game 2 for the Suns is a miracle game. What the Clips?
It's Marcus Morris dropping 22. I feel I'm not going to take away any of these performances from the Clippers players. I think these Clippers players have been great, and a lot of these guys have stepped up. But I do think the logic of these Suns players, this player played well, it's not going to last.
I'm not saying that. When have I ever said that? Devin Booker had the best game of his playoff career in Game 1. I am saying the Suns are if you think that alley-oop is not a miracle play, that play is the definition of a defensive breakdown by the Clippers. If you're the Clippers, what would you rather have? Just think about this, if you're listening to this. Would you rather give up an alley-oop at the rim? And Evan, we were analyzing a play earlier, and Evan's like, oh, Devin Booker running a fade to the corner. Or what's the guy's name? Cam Johnson running a fade to the corner. Or would you rather take your chances with a fadeaway 3 on the run in the corner? In the most high-pressure moment of most of these young players' lives.
Was looking behind him,
DeMarcus Cousins is the inbound, and also, if you look where he's positioned,
it wasn't like he was guarding. I think in this situation, it was the screen by Devin Booker.
What would you rather give up?
It's easier said than done.
I don't think you understand what's going on behind you, though.
No, Ben, it was a well-run.
I'm not saying it's DeMarcus Cousins' fault. I'm just saying
you kind of are. You said that. I'm saying
he's out of position.
Ben's been blaming DeMarcus Cousins.
I'm saying he's out of position. He is out of position. If you are the Clippers, Tyronn Lue, great coach. He's great when he's back is against the wall. What are you telling your team in that huddle? Tell me. What are you telling your team in that huddle?
I'm telling
I
them.
don't know.
I am telling them we are up
say.
1. Do not give up a shot at the basket because Evan, tell me where the highest percentage shots in basketball are taken.
I'm not disagreeing with you
Where
about
are the
shots in
highest
basket.
percentage shots in basketball taken?
I'm agreeing that
In the mother paint is where they're taken. Like, it was a
Okay.
complete defensive breakdown without Kawhi Leonard. Like, all I'm saying, the Suns have played well enough to have the lead in this series. And it was a great play by DeAndre Ayton to put the oop down. It really, truly was. If Kawhi Leonard was in this series, I wouldn't be surprised if this series was over right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this series was over right now. Like, that's like can I get some backup from at least you?
Well, the Clippers would probably win the series if Kawhi was healthy. But I wouldn't say that it'd be over already, but they would probably win.
They'd probably be up 3-2. Do we think Kawhi Leonard makes up for, like, let's even say when the Suns won by what, like 3 points, 4 points after DeMarcus Cousins?
Wait, did Kawhi play in game 1?
No, Kawhi hasn't touched the floor this series.
That's tough.
Like,
That's
I think
basketball,
if Kawhi,
my guy.
If Kawhi, and I agree, it is basketball. Injuries happen.
Are you talking healthy Kawhi, or are you talking? I think if you put Kawhi out now,
I think if Kawhi's
it risks
on the
his
floor
injury.
at all this series, they at least win game
Well, I
2
mean,
and they
if
at least
Kawhi
win
was
game
sitting in
I
the
just think these
corner, like
theoreticals
Trae
are pretty
Young,
stupid. You
they
can go
wouldn't do
through a
anything.
lot of series and talk about
The same
certain things.
theoreticals that Evan was talking about 2 episodes ago.
I never, Ben. Did I talk about
Kyrie
these?
Irving and James.
No,
James
no.
Harden.
I didn't talk about that. I didn't bring up those theoreticals. You can listen back.
Both of
I
you
did
are
not
such
bring up
hypocrites.
Kyrie Irving and James Harden. I didn't say, oh, in this game, oh, you have Kyrie Irving. No, I have not went through that. I have not discredited the Bucks wins just because of
I'm
injury.
not. I'm not. I'm just saying, like,
You're
the
not.
Clippers are still in this series. I've said multiple times in this segment, the Suns have deserved to be up in this series. They do. It's just so frustrating to me. Like, what is wrong with Kawhi Leonard? This is also something we should talk about. Like, what happened to him? All that we know is, like, it's a knee injury. Like, what is going on? And it's also like he's in the box. Like, I think if Kawhi Leonard's playing, they win the series. Obviously, everyone who's listening knows that. But, like, you're in the box, you're not on the bench with your team. And I get it, Kawhi isn't, like, necessarily this rah, we got this, bring the energy on the bench, like, do this. But, like, you don't think having quite possibly, like, a top, 6, 7 player in the entirety of the league on your bench would help? Like, just... This whole series is making me just kind of, like, wonder a little bit. But I think... I'm more. I'll leave it at this. I am more scared of the Clippers with Kawhi than I will ever be of the Suns. Like, let's assume Kawhi can get back for the finals. I hope the Suns win Game 6. I do.
Oh, okay, so the headline: Ben is not afraid of Suns.
I'm not.
Okay, Ben is not afraid of Suns.
Dun,
Dun,
dun, dun.
I mean, I'm not saying if I were Bucks fans, I'd be afraid of the Suns, but I do think this is a statement that if the Suns team, if the role players that normally step up, if the DeAndre Ayton, if Mikal Bridges start playing well, I think it's not a 4 or 5 game series against the Bucks. I don't think it is.
I'm not saying it's going to be a 4-game series. I think the Suns will at least, at a bare minimum, win a game. I think they'll win a game. But I think just, like, if the Suns, like, because we're kind of assuming it's going to be Suns Bucks. Like, the Hawks could win tonight, and then we're all talking about how we're panicking about the Bucks. I just think, like, who are you taking in the Bucks or the Suns?
I'm taking the Bucks, but I think it goes to 6 or 7. Maybe that's a hot take.
I agree.
don't care.
I
think it goes to 6 or 7.
could definitely see it going 6 or 7. I definitely could.
And I could see the Suns winning. You might get mad at me for that, but I do think that I think the Suns team could win a series.
For all the hate you were giving me about dancing around last week, who do we think? Bucks, Suns.
I'm taking Bucks in 7. Taking Bucks in 7. So
Taking Bucks in 7.
Yeah, if the Suns win, it's gonna suck when I tank. I'm not gonna get any credit for it. Ben's gonna get mad at me, but I'll take Bucks in 7.
I'll wait.
I mean, if you look at the teams,
series actually ends.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah. Well, Ben forced me into this.
I'm not gonna say anything either, but I'm just saying, like,
Okay, Ben, it's your turn.
I'll take the Bucks in 6 against the Suns. I wouldn't be surprised if it went 7. But I will roll with the Bucks in 6 unless, like, something happens. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. This series has Clippers Suns as a potential to be a good series, especially if the Clippers win game 6. Like, how nervous would you have to be as a Suns fan? You've got CP3, who is like as incredible as he's been for this team,
And for every team he's ever played on.
Yeah, but this is his first time past a divisional round playoff series, isn't it?
What about Paul George?
Do you remember that series against the Warriors where they would
That
have
series,
won and then
okay,
he got
but like
hurt?
he wasn't playing.
Well, he got hurt game 6, I think, and they would have won that series. I mean, there's enough to be said about that.
That is true. But I think, I don't know, if the Clippers win Game 6, all of the pressure is on the Suns. It's like, who knows if Kawhi? Because when would Game 7 be? Because that would be tomorrow. Game 7 would be what, Friday? Yeah. So
in my opinion, I think the reason the Clippers aren't saying anything about injuries, I think it might be worse than we think it is, and they want to keep the Suns on their edge. I hope it's not true. I'd love to see Kawhi back in the court. It sucks to see the playoffs without the best players.
Might be. That is true.
But the way it's looking out, the way they've released no information makes it seem like he's not going to play.
Yeah, I think so. But I also think if he was definitively out, then like they would have said something. I think there's like a chance he gets back. Maybe for Game 7. I'm honestly not expecting him to play Game 6, but yeah. All right, Andrew, haven't talked to him.
I got nothing else to add.
right.
You and Evan
Moving to
arguing
MLB?
about the Suns being total hypocrites with each other the entire
That's
time.
what we do.
If you watch more than one of our episodes, you'll notice that both of them use the exact same logic against each other to win petty arguments.
If you've experienced me and Evan in person, that's typically how it goes. That's why it's a great show. That's why
what's even
all I'm
better
saying
is
you guys,
every single week.
You guys are lucky you haven't heard the LeBron Jordan debate from us. It does not go well. And we probably won't bring it to you
could
guys.
make a whole
Jordan,
episode.
LeBron,
That would go like an
Jordan. Oh
If this
my
YouTube
God.
video gets 5 likes,
We're releasing
YouTuber
Jordan
Spotify.
LeBron.
Whoa, how many
Part
views does
two.
it need
if
on
we get
Spotify?
5 likes total, combined.
If we get 10 views.
I don't think you can get likes on
10
Spotify.
views total.
10 views total combined between
We're
Spotify
releasing
and
it.
YouTube.
We'll
LeBron
make a
versus
Jordan.
Jordan.
And in the beginning, we're releasing some of the text from the past one. We're releasing a few of the
The
text
best
from the past
part
one.
about that debate is that both of us just pull up random facts and expect it to just kind of like end the argument, and then we're both like, random facts don't end an argument. So you just did the same thing.
You know what?
We're not getting into it. No.
Not right now. After this, we'll record a Jordan LeBron. No, we will. That'll be
No, we
fun.
need to make some fantasy football stuff. We'll do that next time.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Well, because we need to prepare for the
We
LeBron
also
Jordan.
make sure that no one has any knives or guns or anything.
All right, let's move. Let's
No
move
weapons
forward.
on our body.
Let's move forward to the
MLB, they just handed out their first suspension for sticky substance. That reliever
That
on the
random
Mariners. Yeah, I don't even know his name. I think his name's Hector. He got a 10
We've
suspension.
talked about the sticky stuff. It's just hilarious to me.
Rosin, sweat.
Derek
That's all he
Garrett
used.
Cole is
Bad.
Garrett Cole's terrible.
300 mils.
Why
is
would
nothing.
people
He's a-
ever hold him to
he's a
ground?
$500 million Walmart manager right now.
That's what literally the Yankees are. You know how
Dude,
they
do
say
you
like
think-
free agent signings are like always
Do you think the
inherently bad?
Yankees
I mean,
will become sellers? Like, because obviously,
No, here's what
No
they do.
chance.
Here's what they do. Here's what the Yankees do every single time. Everyone's like, all right, are they buyers or are they sellers? And then you know what they do? They sell. They get a really good deal on one of their top players for some incredible prospects. For example, great deal on dealing Aroldis Chapman. The Yankees weren't going to do anything that year. They get Gleyber Torres and some other guys.
Gleyber Torres.
And then you know what they do? They come out the next year as total buyers, make big acquisitions, trade away the prospects that they just traded for an even better deal, rebuild their team, and look like World Series contenders all again just for them to end up failing. That is the cycle of the Yankees, and I'm not wrong. I'm not accepting critique.
it's been the cycle of the Yankees for the last 10 years.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right. I mean,
Totally.
I just think
Yeah. There's
just
no
this
debate.
pitching staff just has not been very good for the Yankees. The lineup hasn't been as good as they were supposed to be either, but I mean, I think they're scoring. Like, their run differential isn't awful. It's like, Evan has it up right now.
I mean-
it's -5 pretty much.
I mean, it's not horrible. Some of their players are
Hector
hitting.
Santiago.
It's
Look-
just
That's
kind
his
of...
name.
It's...
Sorry.
I don't know how to feel about the Yankees. Obviously, we keep talking about it, but I don't think, like... Let's just not even give the Yankees like the majority of this because there's 3 teams in the AL East all playing better than them. The Red Sox have continued to play well, which is something I did not think would happen in the beginning of the year, and that's cool to see. Seeing Rafael Devers emerging as like one of the game's top players is awesome to see. Really seeing Xander Bogaerts get like, I feel like Xander Bogaerts has kind of been like the Matt Chapman of like shortstops.
Which is always
but
solid.
But like
never considered the best.
everyone knows Matt Chapman was so underrated now to the point where he's kind of overrated now. It's not there with Xander Bogaerts yet. Xander Bogaerts has been great. It's been awesome to see. Chris Sale is coming back for this Boston Red Sox team in the next week or two. So the Red Sox, things are looking really, really good for them. Obviously, the Rays are doing Rays things. But even them, since the like Pine Tar stuff has been happening.
I think it's
We
more
always
gla- I
talk
think
about
it's
how the
more
Rays
glass
have so
than
many
injuries.
great random pitchers. And here they are. They're like sitting 500 after all the Pine Tar stuff.
The Rays are 47-32.
I mean, the Rays are great,
the
yeah.
last of 10.
Their last 10, they're 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I was gonna say they're well above.
I mean, they
500.
also. Who'd they play? They played the Sox.
I mean, the Rays had a few tough series in a row, so
I mean, it could be that.
I mean, I wouldn't take too much away from the Rays. Actually, the last team I predicted to go to the World Series from the American League was the Rays, and I don't know if I'm really going to take that away. I mean, if you look at the other teams,
Nationals, Angels.
sadly, very sadly, the Astros have looked like the best team in the American League, which we can talk about. Their hitters have been on fire. Somehow they have a player in top 3 in All-Star voting in every position. And we could talk about the All-Star game and how much of the fan voting sucks in a bit, but
That really is horrible. We'll get it. We'll
Isn't
get
Zach
that, though.
Wheeler not even like gonna go to the All-Star
Dude,
game? But
Zach
he's-
Wheeler is an MVP candidate first and foremost.
Well, I agree
He's an
that yes,
MVP
he is,
candidate.
but there are tiers. Tier 1 is Jacob DeGrom.
Tier 2 is Tatis, and then but he is like he's in the top 5.
Tatis.
also
No.
pitchers are by
Tatis, Wheeler.
Yeah.
DeGrom is on pace, even if he starts playing bad for the rest of the season, will probably end up with the greatest pitching season we've ever seen in the history of the MLB with no sticky substances. To say that anyone is even in the
unreal.
conversation.
That injury against the Cubs was really scary, though. I got really scared for a second.
Okay, that's fair.
But has he pitched since?
I mean,
Zach Wheeler's been nasty.
Wheeler-
I actually
no,
saw
Wheeler's-
something. Wheeler was on the Mets, and he had the same pitching coach as DeGrom, and if you put them side by side, their mechanics are actually pretty similar, and Wheeler currently has a 95-mile-an-hour slider, so he's showing a lot of, like, similar traits to DeGrom, which goes to show that
Not
maybe
saying he
there's
is
a way
DeGrom.
of, like, pitching now that pitchers have to focus on.
I'd
the
argue
DeGrom
that
way.
I'd argue that Woodruff is having a better season than Wheeler, and I know Ben's gonna agree with me, but if you look at the stats, I think Woodruff has been more dominant than Wheeler has.
Woodruff has been really good. He had but Woodruff is an MVP candidate.
I wouldn't say Wheeler is either looking at the stats. I mean, maybe it's just statistics
think
at
Wheeler
itself,
is.
but
But I want to say yes. I love Woodruff. And Woodruff has been so great, and he's so much fun to watch pitch. Woodruff. I think it was, I forget who it was who said it, but in the Brewers Nationals playoff game, the Trent Grisham game, but that's not what we're talking about that game. Someone said Brandon Woodruff is the definition of country hardball, because he literally is like, okay, I'm gonna throw as hard as I can up in the zone, go hit it,
How fast does he throw?
like upper 90s. He
I
gets
mean,
up to 100
he's hitting
every now and then.
99. I mean, is it consistently 99 though?
He's like I'd say he's most of the time he's probably like 95 to 98, and then he can get up to 99 100. But I mean, speaking of the Brewers,
Listen, we got a series coming up. We got...
I think this series will decide a lot
I know we got
Cute
mashed
about-
last night.
about the
Bring up the
Cubs roster. Because if they get swept in this series, like if they lose, that's one thing. But like if they get swept,
Listen, we got 2 more games. One at 7 today, and then one at 1 o'clock tomorrow. That's gonna say a lot. But to be fair, I mean the Cubs go then at the Reds, and then at home 4 games.
Reds have been playing good, man. Like the Reds.
But
have been playing
also,
good.
I mean-
We were talking about the Reds like they were a joke a month ago, and now they're back in like the mix, kind of.
I don't want you guys to get mad at me, but I am gonna have to go through the Brewers schedule.
Baseball
and Ben was-
scheduling does
Ben
not
is saying
matter.
baseball scheduling doesn't matter.
Baseball
but
scheduling doesn't matter. We ran the gauntlet early on. The Cubs
But-
ran the gauntlet now. It's like completely like baseball scheduling doesn't matter.
First of all, I have to say I don't
Yes.
think this Cubs team is good. Ben, don't talk over me. I'm saying this. This Cubs team has not hit well, has
Couldn't
not pitched
agree
well.
more.
The bullpen has not been good. But if you look at what the Brewers are playing, it's been the Tigers for 2, then the Diamondbacks, then the Reds, then the Pirates, then the Reds, then the Rockies, then the Diamondbacks, then the Rockies. Only one of those teams is above 500, and it was against the Reds, who they lost both. They won one series, and they got swept the other. So, I mean, the
Let me say
Brewers
this.
haven't been beating good teams. I think the NL Central sucks.
What do you?
Sure.
I agree. What do you want them to do? Hey guys,
I mean,
let's lose because it's unfair that we're playing so many easy teams. Baseball scheduling doesn't matter, man.
I mean,
Baseball
the
schedule-
Rockies took 2 out of 4.
It's important to know things in
Baseball-
context.
You lost-
though.
that's
In
what I'm
context,
saying.
that is why the Brewers
Context.
have won. Like when it says like, yeah, the Brewers have won what, like 15 of 20. Like yes, there is some context to that. Like they've been playing well, but like. But it's baseball scheduling. Like, we're not gonna look at some team and be like, they're only good because of their schedule. Like, no, that's stupid, especially in baseball. But I think like
I don't think anyone's good.
I mean, you can say
I don't think
that
anyone in
they're
the NL
good
Central is that
recently
good either.
because, yeah, no.
I don't think anyone in the NL
knows.
Central is that good. But I think it'll be interesting to see what the Cubs do as far as like selling guys. Like because this Cubs team, like we could literally see this team with no like Baez, no Bryant, no.
Who's trading for Baez in a contract year though?
Yeah, I know.
I hope we can trade Baez.
Yeah, I doubt they'll be able to trade him. And will you let him walk? That's the other thing. Will you sign him back on like a team friendly thing and then just trade him if he's
What's
bad?
team friendly? I mean, I think he rejected one of the bigger shortstop deals that anyone's been given in 2019.
Let him walk.
He's not going to get that much. I really, really hope we let him walk. I've said this, I'm going to say it again. The only reason if Javi Baez would stay on this team is because the Ricketts want to make money. And I'll say that. The only reason Javi Baez would stay on this team is if the team wants to make money off merchant tickets, because Javi Baez is not that good of a player. I mean, he strikes out 50% of the time, and if he's not hitting home runs, he's not getting on base, he's not walking. He doesn't do anything especially well. I mean, he's a good defender.
Strikeout rate is unreally.
I mean, he's still making errors. I think if we were to resign people, the only player I'd really, really like to resign is Rizzo. I mean, it's not just statistics. He's the heart and soul of the team. The way Bryant's been playing, I mean, obviously signing him would be good, but I think he's going to get a bigger contract elsewhere. And at the deadline, we can start talking about teams that are selling or buying.
Yeah.
I personally like if the Cubs were to sell. I think the only players that are really sellable and we can get a lot from is Kimbrel, who I'd argue is the best reliever in the league this year, and Chafin, who's been one of the
Kimbrel's
best
really
left-hander
good, yeah.
relievers in the league this year. I think we can get a lot for both.
I think
But other than that, I don't see much.
looking at the league right now though, like who is a buyer?
Padres, Dodgers,
White
Mets.
Sox.
I was just going over National League.
I think the Mets. I think the Mets
Padres.
buy. I think I can.
Mets could use some
I
pitching.
could see a team
But,
like I could see a team like the Blue Jays kind of going all in. I could see a team.
Well, they wouldn't do like a
Not all
one-day
there's, like,
thing,
but,
I'm just saying, there's not a lot of teams like, yeah, the Dodgers are always buyers. Yeah, the Padres are looking to make a
White
push.
Sox. We
At
could do
some
another
point-
White,
like,
I think
crosstown
the
deal.
White
I think the
Sox
White
are
Sox
the
are gonna be
only
heavy.
team that is like
Heavy.
it's so unfortunate because the White Sox had this like not recently. They've lost like 7 in a row or something, right? Like they're not playing well, but like. It sucks. The White Sox have 20 home runs in the month of June.
That's
The ball's
bad.
not been flying there.
That's horrible, especially because like the White Sox. It's not like the White Sox are playing in like San Francisco. Like their park is pretty hitter friendly. It's like 330 to the corners. Like it's on the lake, whatever.
And like
It's alright.
just over 400 centers. Nothing.
White
crazy.
Sox, well, I wouldn't say it's like on the lake, but it's not inland, you know.
yeah. Like just
Wrigley's closer to
like the
lake.
White Sox.
Actually,
and
is
the thing
is.
that sucks is like you can argue that the White Sox had had 70 home runs taken. We'll have 70 home runs taken away from them by the end of the year. You know what I mean? They lost Jimenez, who's.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's safe to say Jimenez would have hit at least 30, right?
I think around 30 more.
Right, like it's safe to say he would have hit around 30. He hit what, like 34 last year or something like that? Or 34 2 years ago.
I mean-
his rookie year.
No, but I think he had the potential to do so. I mean, obviously last year short. Maybe he was on pace for 34.
And like Robert is obviously one of the better like young players in the game. And just, I mean, it's just so unfortunate that those injuries happen. But
That's baseball.
that's baseball.
I mean, one team that's a big question is what do the Braves or Phillies? We can first look at the Braves. I mean, do they buy heavily with their current roster to try to get more than 4.5 games back? They obviously I guess, have a hole in their outfield without Ozuna for obvious reasons. I mean, are they buyers to go all in, or would they? Could you see that a team like the Braves selling at this point?
Yeah, but like, who would they sell?
I mean, exactly. I don't think they can sell at this point.
Like,
but
who they
do
sell?
they just stand put and just accept their
Like
fate, or do they
Soroka?
buy in and hope they make it?
I don't know. I think the Braves probably won't do anything like major. Like maybe they'll trade for like a.
Stay put.
Yeah, I think they'll just kind of like.
give
I
up
think
on
the
the
Braves,
season.
because like think about it, the Braves are at a point where they can be like, okay, we'll cut our losses. We still have this like dynasty core intact. Like it didn't
How
go
old
our
is
way this
Albies
year.
again?
Like
23 or something.
23, 24, 25, something
Like,
in that range.
Freeman is still relatively young, obviously.
young enough.
Obviously,
Well, first basemen don't need to be young; they can be 40.
Yeah, exactly.
Miggy's
So-
still playing some
Well, to be fair,
way or a reason.
that's different.
But like, just I mean,
Minions.
just looking at it, it's just. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot going on with the MLB. Obviously, all the Pine Tar stuff, but there's no like major news really. One thing we can talk about though, and I know this might be a little sensitive for you guys. Kyle Schwarber, like what he is doing is ridiculous.
Everyone has
15
their
home
moments.
runs in what 11 games?
Yeah, and he's at 20, I think, 2 at the season.
Why is he leading off?
Why is he leading off?
Why is he leading off?
I mean, Schwarber is a guy that has strived at the leadoff role at many points of time. Even with the Cubs, he's hit well leadoff at some points. I think a lot of it was before this whole home run streak. He's a guy that works hard at bats and gets walks. So that was probably why he started leadoff, and then he started hitting bombs, and you're like, is it superstition to say we don't want to take him out of the leadoff role? Like,
little bit.
He's hitting bombs. He's going crazy. As one of the bigger Schwarber fans there even is, it pains me, and it makes me really happy to watch what he's doing. I mean, it sucks and it's awesome at the same time. It's really hard emotions to say, because he was probably one of my top 3, probably top 2 favorite players in the MLB. Maybe still is.
I wanted to trade Schwarber after the World Series. Technically, I'm not
Keeps
on
ringing itself.
record.
Andrew,
Like, I'm not on video
It's not a good
saying
take
it,
anymore, Andrew.
But like, let's be honest.
I think at the same time, like,
Schwarber's
this could just be a
value.
very hot week. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kinda how
Schwarber
baseball
had
goes.
crazy value after the World Series. He was a crazy slugger. He
I
missed
think
the
we've
entire
talked
year.
about this
We
several
have,
times. on
but
this
now,
podcast.
like,
I
are you saying this
know,
take
but-
is just as good now, or is it like
Let's go back to the sun.
No. What I'm trying to say is that we didn't trade Schwarber, right? We just let him walk, meaning we got absolutely no value, and he's playing at this high level.
But what value were we going to get at the end of last season? He was batting.
We're good.
Can you just like wipe it off? I'm just saying we got no value out of this.
Yeah, but he was batting 200, and
I know, but
was
I'm
not
not saying
playing
we
well
should have
enough.
traded him last year. What I'm
yeah,
saying.
but what good is that saying this going to help you? I mean, I wanted to trade Zobrist before.
What I'm saying is people
his
are like,
wife
oh no, we
cheated on
need
him
to
with
keep
the pastor.
Schwarber.
Oh, you guys got to look that up. It's just, apparently Zobrist's wife cheated on him with the pastor that told him to take time off of baseball. Interesting story. Doesn't really matter, but
Oh yeah, he's
Very
suing
interesting.
him too, right?
yeah, fun stuff.
That's hilarious. Yeah, should have traded Schwarber. Should have got something. It's playing great. I mean, you wouldn't have got much from him at the end of last year, but maybe.
No, I'm saying we should have traded him 5 years ago.
Okay.
Congrats.
God, that was already
I
5
think
years ago.
That's pretty much it, right? Right? There's nothing else
Yeah, I
going on.
mean-
Has anything happened in the NFL? No, we don't.
I mean,
we'll
it's
talk
a
about
Stanley
fantasy
Cup
football stuff
playoffs,
in a
but I
second.
know.
Canadians
You guys
versus the
don't
Maple
really-
Leafs, right? Neither the Canadians haven't been. Wait, is it light? No,
It's not. It's Lightning,
It's
and Lightning are going to go back to back. That's all that's going to happen.
The Canadians are like the most historically like dominant NHL franchise of all time, and yet they haven't been in the Stanley Cup
Well,
Finals in a long time.
I don't think a
right?
Canadian team has been in the Stanley Cup Finals in like 20 years, which is
I
crazy.
know, it's kind of ridiculous. I remember there's this speech with Obama and Trudeau where Obama was bragging about how good of like hockey
Alrighty,
he was
we
and
can
stuff.
talk about
because you know he's a
this
Blackhawks
some other
fan,
time.
Chicago, and then Trudeau
Hey,
was like,
we
you
are
know those
40
players,
minutes and
Jonathan
33
Toews
seconds
and
in.
Duncan Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from Canada. Eh?
Alrighty, guys, that's going to wrap it up.
That's our NHL segment of the entire year. We will never speak of it ever again.
It's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, and I think we're going to record another one after this, right?
Yeah.
Into fantasy football stuff, so make sure you go check that out. As always, let's have fun. Summertime, take care of each other, check up on your neighbors, be kind to people. This has been Evan and Andrew from Casual Sports Fans signing off. Let's roll the outro.